Recently, I was talking to a friend about the late, great Neal Adams and how much I loved talking to him at the New York Comic Con. My friend said he enjoyed my video on Neal Adams' Batman comic book covers, and I realized I hadn't gotten around to his Superman covers. Stay tuned to see what I believe would be my definitive Neal Adams Superman classic cover collection. Hi comic book guys and gals, I'm Joe and welcome to Anachronic Comics. One of the things I looked forward to doing each year at the New York Comic Con was spending a couple of minutes talking to Neal Adams about comic books and having him sign a book or two that I bought from him. If you missed my video on the definitive Neal Adams Batman cover collection, I'll add a link at the end of this video. Interestingly, Neal Adams' name is considered synonymous with Batman. Collaborating with Denny O'Neil, they resurrected the Caped Crusader from the silliness of the mid-1960s to the brooding detective that defines Batman even today. But Superman? Adams was not a regular Superman artist, but he did get opportunities to do so, mostly on covers in the late 1960s and the 1970s. And when he did, the results were nothing but fantastic. As I mentioned in the intro, here are the Neal Adams comic books I would consider collecting in my definitive Neal Adams Superman Classic cover collection. Now, this list is not in any order. All 10 are, in my view, must-haves for any Neal Adams fan. Okay, I'm going to cheat a bit because my first choice is actually two books. Superman's Girlfriend number 79 and Action Comics number 358. Both with cover dates of November 1967. Both are typical of the comic books of the time, with Lois apparently marrying someone other than Superman. How many times did we see that? And Superman facing an individual who unexpectedly has powers similar or greater to his. Now, why are these two books part of the definitive Neal Adams Superman Classic cover collection? Simple. These are the first two Superman covers drawn by Neal Adams. That's it. So how did Adams get to do these covers? Well, the definitive Superman artist, in my view, Curt Swan, was on the job, right? So why Neal Adams? Well, according to Neal Adams, when he did a cover, sales of the particular comic book increased. Carmine Infantino, the art director at the time, wanted to test this on Superman titles, which were then the biggest selling comic books in the United States and in the world. So he convinced Mort Weisinger, the publisher, to give Adams a try, resulting in these two covers and increased sales. The second must-have is Action Comics 359, published in February of 1968, The Case Against Superman. Here you have Superman sitting on the witness chair with a little girl over whom Superman towers, pointing to him and accusing him of killing her father. The cover, with its dramatic scene, you almost have to buy this book, is enough to have it in an Adams Superman collection. But another reason is that Adams himself has stated that this is one of his favorite covers. If it's one of his faves, it's got to be in my collection. Next for my all-time Neal Adams Superman Classic cover collection is perhaps one of the most people believe is Adams' best. And that's Superman number 233. Here we go. And it's from January of 1971. Now, how can you not like this iconic cover? The image of Superman breaking free from chains that symbolize the kryptonite that no longer affects him. This cover marked the beginning of a new era for the Man of Steel, with Adams' dynamic and realistic style. The cover is an homage to Superman number 11, and was repeated not only by Superman, but in many other comic books by many comic book companies. Amazingly, this celebrated cover is not a favorite of Adams for a number of reasons, the least being the need to extend Superman's left leg so as to fit in the cover title, Kryptonite Nevermore. The fourth cover on my list is the 100-page super spectacular Superman number 252 from June 1972. Now, I put this cover on my definitive collection not only because I love well-done covers with multiple superheroes, but because this wonderful depiction of Superman smiling while front and center in I guess you would call it a gaggle of flying heroes. But this rendition was used to design the sign in Metropolis, Illinois, where the annual Superman celebration is held. The Metropolis, Illinois webpage greets visitors stating, "Where heroes and history meet on the shores of the majestic Ohio River. This all-American town has been a must-visit destination for Superman fans since being authorized by national periodicals, that's DC Comics, to be known as the, quote, adopted home of Superman in January of 1972. So this is a place I haven't been, but I want to get to. Hey, DC Watch, maybe a road trip? Next up is a Jack Kirby cover. Yes, Jack Kirby, but it was inked by Neal Adams. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 144. Apparently, DC wasn't exactly happy with the way Jack was drawing long-standing characters like Superman and Jimmy Olsen. So Adams volunteered to ink the King's drawings so as to make them look a little bit more like the heroes that fans had come to know and love. The result is a cover that has touches of two giants of the industry. Sixth on my list is Action Comics number 361 from March 1968. Here it is. This is only the second one of the 10 that I have. Now, what I love about this cover is the straight action and motion that Adams gets with Parasite sending Superman flying towards the reader with a super punch. So if you're observant and you read what Parasite says, you know that Parasite has been pummeling Superman by the two black eyes that Superman has. Superman with two black eyes. I don't think I've ever seen that before or since. Number 7 is Superman number 317 from November 1977. Just look at Superman, body tense, face contorted, exuding an anger you never see from someone often called a Boy Scout. Poisoned by Metallo and dying from kryptonite, he's ready to take someone with him. A great touch here by Adams is the yellow and orange rays as background, making him look even more angry. Next is Superman number 237 from May of 1971. Now I picked this one because it shows Adams' talent. You don't see Superman's face, but you don't have to. With the contorted faces of the humans blaming Superman for their transformation, and Superman clearly trembling and taken aback by the entire situation, you know he's alarmed. There's no need to see his face to know it's not a happy one. Number 9 is one of my favorite Neal Adams Superman covers because of its simplicity and the message all Superman fans understand. The LLs in Superman's life have not only been a harbinger of happiness, but often a cause of danger for the Man of Steel. The gradient green background is the perfect color for the giant flaming purple double L's, and the title in orange, purple, and yellow. Superman defeated and maybe, according to the title, dead, lying face down on the ground. A simple cover that tells a story that you want to read more about. The 10th Neal Adams cover that I would suggest to be part of the definitive Neal Adams Superman collection is perhaps Neal Adams' favorite Superman cover, and a classic that I had as a kid, but I lost it along the way. Superman vs. Muhammad Ali in All Collector's Edition number C56 from April 1978. A masterpiece by Adams with fully 172 fans watching Superman and Ali duking it out. The crowd includes showbiz personalities such as Johnny Carson, Frank Sinatra, and TV's Lois Lane, Noel Neill. Politicians such as then-President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalind, and former President Gerald Ford and his wife Betty. Sports figures such as Joe Namath, Pelé, and Yankees pitcher Jim Bouton. Literary figures such as Kurt Vonnegut Jr. and William Gaines and Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine. You have DC staffers, Warner Communications executives, Ali Cornerman, DC editors, writers and artists, including Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, as well as Neal Adams himself, and a host of DC comic characters. A monumental achievement and a book I have to get back in my collection. One point. Although a favorite of Neal Adams, he always said it was a difficult job and he was glad he did it, but didn't necessarily want to do it again. But he did. ESPN asked him to do a similar cover for their 100th issue, which came out on January 10th, 2000, where they were highlighting the top 100 athletes of the century. Titled The Trillennium of the Millennium, Adams was asked to have Ali boxing Michael Jordan, while having the remaining 98 greatest athletes as onlookers. So there you have it, my idea of a definitive Neal Adams Superman cover collection. Now there are other covers I could have added, but I wanted to limit my list to 10. So I'm asking you, what additional Superman covers would you suggest be included in the collection? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, guys. Be well, and I'll see you soon.